time, everybody. We have ourselves a very special guest. The one, the only, the mountain captain of G2, Kronovi here. How's it going, man?
It's going good. It's going good. I'm happy to be here.
So we very rarely get to talk to people whose brains and knowledge go back to the beginning of time, at least Rocket League time.
Yeah, you know, only 2 years ago, almost now, but it feels like a lot longer.
It's been a while. So I guess if we start from the beginning, you won Season 1. You were the very first champions of the RLCS. How did that feel for you, especially since you've been playing SARP for nearly, what, 7 years, I think? And then all of a sudden now Rocket League's becoming a thing. Like, how'd that feel for you?
I don't know. I felt like a lot of the work had paid off. You know, in the moment when I was playing SARP, I was just playing for fun. I really enjoyed it. I had a competitive nature, and I never really knew what I was working towards. But looking back, it definitely felt like, it almost felt purposeful, that I was meant to do this. It was kind of interesting, like this destiny, in a sense. Especially after we had the roster issues and the internal team conflicts happening right at the end of the first season, and that long grind, that month of just nonstop grinding and always being the underdogs, going into the tournament as the underdogs. You know, just all that work paying off. It was very rewarding and satisfying. Yeah,
you being the underdogs was one of those weird moments where, like, Kronovi, the guy who pretty much everybody in the Rocket League scene knew, people that don't even know Rocket League know your name, and you were coming into Season 1 as the underdogs, but you still managed to take it. It was probably just one of the coolest moments to see, honestly.
Yeah, I'm proud of it.
Yeah, it was really awesome. So, just to kind of go through a little bit of history. So, you guys were always pretty much the best team for, like, 7, 8 months. Longer than that? I don't know. Almost a year.
7, 8 months is generous, yeah.
Yeah, but for a long time, you guys were pretty much just, you were so hard to beat. You guys set the meta, right? You guys, you were the team to beat. Everyone had to adapt to you. I just want to have a little conversation with you about, like, how the meta started and how it started to develop and where it is now. So it started, I mean, you would know a little bit about the very, very beginning.
Yeah, so from my memory, I believe the first Rocket League, like, 3 versus 3 tournament was done through like the community subreddit. And then just kind of these random weekly events popping up with ESLs and stuff that RLC was doing at the time. And the dynamic just worked out to where Gibbs was okay with holding down the fort, and me and Sad could do anything else we wanted, literally anything else. And at the time, players who were veterans, people who had played SARP in the alpha, those people were considered veterans compared to the people who had just bought the game like 4 weeks, 5 weeks earlier. So there wasn't really a necessary need most of the time for any real strategy. It was just pure mechanical skill. You could straight up muscle through people, you know. Just having the mechanics would often result in 1 versus 3 or goals like that. And having just one person back just in case something goes wrong was enough. And then you run into veteran teams versus veteran teams. Very often our team would struggle against Untethered, you know, Pluto, Waffle, Latch. They were the other veteran team, and we were battling with them for a while, and that's where strategy really came into play. But Gibbs was just so good at what he did at the time. He was such a strong force on defense that we really, 2 people in net was overkill. Yeah. You know.
Well, you and Saturn, you could do whatever you wanted.
Right. We had so much
watching
freedom.
Old footage, you just like, you guys just were free to do whatever, and Gibbs was like, don't worry.
I got it. Yeah, no, I'll make 3 saves in a row. Don't worry, guys.
Which back then was hard. Yeah. Well,
even now is difficult, especially since as everybody's mechanics get better, as the skill gap draws closer and closer, old strats like only leaving 1 person back and having a double commit occur. Because me and Sad, if you watch our footage back, we would double commit on everything. There's an aerial, we want to score first. We will take each other's goal if we have to. You know, and if that happens, you know, at the RLCS, that person in goal is going to get stuck in a 2 versus 1, and that's always a pass play. It's always a dish it to the second player in the first person demos. You know, there's so many more strategies to deal with a lone goalie now. Yeah,
and then so as the game picked up pace, people started getting better. It turned into more rotational style play, where players would kind of try and fill in every gap they needed. How would you say kind of that was? I don't know. I think Season 1 is when that started to get refined, when that really tight rotational play started, and it's only gotten perfected since then. Do you have any way you describe, like, the current meta right now?
Well, I think you definitely have your specialized players who enjoy being in certain areas of the pitch more so than others, and there is a necessity for every player to be able to contribute no matter what's happening. Because no matter what, you're going to be on defense as a team or you're going to be on offense as a team. And you can't have somebody cherry picking the whole game.
Yeah.
That's just not going to work, especially not now. So as everybody kind of becomes more well-rounded, people still have their specialties. Devo's got his double taps. You know, Pashy's got his fakes. You know, people have their things that they like to do.
Yeah.
But they are still strong in other aspects. So speed is what kind of controls the game now. The faster you can do things, the faster you can outmaneuver your opponents, make decisions. That really accentuates your strengths and rotations.
Yeah. So a lot has changed over the last pretty much 2 years, and you've been through a lot of teammates, a lot of players, and this current one, when you came into the season with JNaps and Rizzo, everyone's like, this is it. This is the all-star team. And you guys showed it right away. Obviously, you had your ups and downs. It may have ended in a down, but it's okay. How did this current roster feel for you?
I was very, very, very happy with it. We got Rizzo last second. I was almost panicking. I knew me and JNaps were happy. We loved playing twos together. We were trying a bunch of threes with different people. And Rizzo really came in clutch. Ever since we played a couple tournaments together, won some monthlies, we were really happy with the dynamic we had. And we started off the season strong, which I was kind of worried about. You know, you have the online presence and the monthly presence and teams. You get all hyped up, and then you might crack under that pressure. But we were going strong up until the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
The last 2 weeks were rough, and I think we didn't perform on the day. We were happy with our scrims, and I definitely see this as a long-term team, a team that learns together, that has the same mentality together, that grows together.
Yeah. I mean, it's big. You and me were chatting just a little bit before this. When you look at the teams right now that are performing well, it's usually a duo that's been together forever. You know, we were talking about Jacob and Fireburner. They've pretty much just been unbroken since the beginning, and it shows. You can tell they just know each other so well. They perform so well together. You see the same thing on a couple of European teams. You know, Remco Maestro, same kind of deal, or most of flip side tactics. You know, Cooksier and Marky Duda.
Cooksier and Marky, yeah. You have your iconic duos.
Yeah. And I think it's really cool to know that you guys potentially want to become that. I think it's huge, especially since I know a lot of you guys have huge dreads, and you not making it to LAN is a little crushing to some people. And I guess while I'm on the subject, sorry to put you on the spot here, Crow. So the last 2 LANs you guys didn't qualify for. I'm curious to know, especially as a competitive player who's kind of always been at the top or near the top, how did that push you moving forward? How did that feel, especially the second time when you're like, oh, like you were so close, you were right there. What did that do to you as an individual?
Well, it's always a bit crushing to go from a really high, winning the first ever RLCS, to then placing 7th. You know, just total crash. You know, what went wrong? How do I rebuild? I wanted to understand what mistakes I made, and so I tried to build that back up with this team, starting fresh again. And we were so close this time. You know, again, looking at our mistakes, really trying to improve. It's motivating, but it's not easy to stay motivated sometimes. And I don't know, with this season, it's either 3rd time's the charm if I make it, or 3 strikes you're out if I fail again. For me.
I don't think any of us want to hear the latter, but Kronovi, seriously, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. I could probably ask you 50 questions, but we only have so much time here on the show.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you so much. But when we come back, we're going to cover DreamHack, and we got a good chunk of special events we got to talk about. So don't go anywhere, guys. We'll be right back.